Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly ecosystem office hours calls. I'm your host Jinx, and we are joined as always by the best and brightest in Pocket ecosystem. Been an interesting week out there in the markets. I'm sure that everybody's seen it and felt it, and I'll be the first to say that the timing sucks, given that we're in the process of working on the release of one of our single most exciting and important upgrades in the history of the protocol. So thank you from me for everybody who has hung in there and kept working and kept doing the essential things and kept supporting the project during what is a tumultuous time out there in the marketplace. I will echo the standard refrain that we'll get through it. Cycles go up and down, but the need for infrastructure carries on. Just want to make sure that everyone does get a chance to review the economics guidance that was published by the Pocket Economics Committee. Definitely some important considerations to make sure that you're accounting for in your strategies as we move forward. Also, we are working on our final cutover date, or what Olshansky calls D-Day or Judgment Day. I was hoping that we could get it done by the 15th, but in talking to a number of stakeholders in the ecosystem, they're still trying to get some last minute things buttoned up. So we're probably looking at closer to the 22nd. We'll keep everybody apprised of that progress as it comes through. And a big thank you as well to all of our migration working group partners who are helping to drive forward some of the tooling and such that is going to be necessary for the final cutover. And on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Fred for our protocol updates.
Thanks, Jinx. I'll go through quickly. So for on the Shannon front, we're still in the process of finalizing the primitives for the migration, but we're very close. There's quite a few other features still in flight. Nothing like game breaking, but our goal is to get to the migration as quickly as possible, like Jinx said. So we're working towards that. In parallel, we're also working on load testing and scaling still, and we'll continue to work on that and publish our results as we have them. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we're just very narrowly focused on the protocol this week. Going into Path, two things really going on. One is just overarching kind of cleanup and architectural things that are making Path much more extensible, especially on the QoS front. So we're really happy about how that's coming along, and we have some open PRs that are getting closer to really extend QoS. As it is right now, it really works nicely when you want to play with blockchain on JSON RPC. But as we know, there are a lot of other RPC opportunities out there, such as LLMs and other open data APIs. So really want to make sure that that's extensible for any gateway operators that don't want to just live in the blockchain RPC world. And then the other main focus here is on spinning up new infrastructure to cover our migration to Path. We've been wrestling with the decision about how to move forward with global load balancing because we're not really happy with our current solution in the portal. But we are still experimenting there, and from there kind of can jump off and very quickly get Path out and then start to shift some traffic. Just on the other kind of operations front, we're getting ready to launch new prices in the growth portal. This is in result to the new tokenomics coming forward. So we'll clarify that on May 1st. And then we've really just been in maintenance mode and cleaning up our existing infrastructure so that we can be in a position to very seamlessly migrate, upgrade, and do all the things that we need to do. That is it from Grove's End.
Beautiful. And one update that I forgot to include on the foundation side, for anyone who hasn't heard, which I believe hopefully everyone has at this point, April is the last month of our existing F-Chains program. We are moving into what we are calling F-Chains 2, which will be a much broader engagement of the ecosystem by the Foundation and DAO to support long-tail chains. We should have all of the documentation ready for that on Friday. That is actively being worked right now. So we will keep everyone posted and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate. If you're a node runner and you are capable of participating in providing high QoS nodes for some of our more long tail chains, you'll want to keep an eye out for that. And I will post an announcement in the POKT Discord when that is up and ready for review. So that will be a couple of things to make sure that you're up to speed on in the forum. For anyone who is unclear about sort of the where you should be looking for things, all critical information in regard to programs and structure and everything else will always be posted in the forum. Because that supports long form conversation that sticks around and allows for review. So, y'all are free to ask questions as always in the Discord and in the den and any other place where you're connected to the ecosystem. But the forum is the final source of truth. So any and all questions should really be posted there on threads under the announcement in question. And with that, I think we've covered all of the scheduled updates for today, so the floor is open. Feel free to drop questions or comments in either the sidebar chat or just come off mute and ask them out loud. Any feedback or follow-up from last week's demo day, Miss Kitty asked. Yeah, I've heard from a few folks that they were impressed with what the products that they saw. A couple of teams are already being invited to be featured on podcasts around what they're doing and the products that they're building on POKT Network. So there's certainly a follow-up on that front. And I think that it will... I think that there are some opportunities for additional fundraising and or product support in their launches as that goes on. So I would call demo day an unqualified success. Infracake asks, as staker node runner, what would be the new node runner rewards and relay dynamics on Shannon? Nodes of 60K will produce more or less. If less, the volume of the traffic will compensate the downturn in midterm. Is there any limit of traffic per node? Let's see if we can go through this here. First of all, again, I would very much encourage everyone to read the complete economics guidance on the forum because a lot of these questions are answered there. Nodes of 60K, essentially, there is no stake weighting in Shannon. That, as a concept, that disappears entirely. And because more than 80% of the network is staked at 60K, the node minimum is, the stake minimum is being set to 60K at launch. Node runners are encouraged to, top up stake as needed or account for that. There have been a few questions asked in relation to are there options around merging nodes that are currently set at 15K for whatever reason. I don't know that there's an answer for that yet, but in current standing, no. If less, the volume of the traffic will compensate the downturn in midterm. I expect that rewards in general will likely be less at the beginning because we are returning to a structure where rewards are tied to actual work. The WAGMI program that was put in place along the way, a sort of a stopgap step down of inflation, set a fixed supply of daily emissions, which were distributed to all participating nodes regardless of the amount of work done. But that really fundamentally broke some of the important aspects of the economics model. And in getting back to the intention of the model, which was mint equals burn, and a very limited inflation, if at all, that's going to be tied directly to the volume of relays that are going through the network. Now, there are some other things which will help support node runners along the way. The FChains 2 program is one of those things. And the foundation will be taking an active hand in trying to support the node runner and supply side of the ecosystem as much as possible. But it's very much going to be an evaluation of strategy, I think, for a lot of node runners to figure out for themselves what's the most efficient way to run and how they're participating in the future. Is there any limit of traffic per node? I mean, that's only limited as far as I can tell by, the performance capabilities of the node. I don't think that there's any hard baked in limits to the protocol, but Fred or Art, have you guys seen where the max throughput of a node in Shannon might be yet?
I think this in the Morse side, there was a cap on if a node was selected to process relays, it could only process up to a point depending on the amount of tokens it had staked at the time. And then it would have to fail over the next node. There was an error that was thrown back. But that doesn't matter. There's a lot of tactical nuance that happens after. I'm not actually sure what the implementation looks like on the Shannon side. So now that I've given some context on what currently happens, I think if Olshansky, since you're on here, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it. Can someone confirm that you guys can hear me well before I jump in?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So before the short answer is yes. The longer answer is no if you have more POKT. So that's the punchline. And now I'll explain why. The whole point of Pocket Network is that it is an optimistic rate limiter, right? If you ever build a service on Google, you need a rate limiter. Or using GCP, you need a rate limiter. If you build a service on AWS, you need a rate limiter. If you have ever used an API from Stripe, from Twilio, from anything else, you get rate limited, right? And then if your credit card gets declined, you can't make requests. If you don't top up, you can't make requests. The problem with this is that this has always been centralized infrastructure, right? There's never been a permissionless rate limiter. So all of the things that we do for the claim and proof lifecycle, Merkle trees, et cetera, like all of this business logic that we've spent hundreds, but thousands of engineering hours building is to create a non-interactive, optimistic, verifiable rate limiter on chain. That's my kind of jargon in case you guys want to use it somewhere. So I'm going to stop there because I can talk about this for days. But the more POKT you stake, the more requests you can serve. And if you don't stake more POKT, it is not a bug. It's a feature that you're actually not going to be able to serve more requests. Did that answer the question?
So are you saying that we can get paid more than what you get paid by 60K nodes if we add more POKT? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. First time I'd heard that. So there's a great answer right from the horse's mouth.
I'm more of a line, but that works.
Noted. I'll keep that in mind.
Is there a way we can see like a projection or mathematical like expression of how much can we like just to do some projections of so the node runners can organize ourselves like on how to stake them?
Yeah, we'll definitely put something like this out. It's just a matter of being serial about kind of the things we prioritize. Like I would love to have great UIs and tools and projections and everything else, but right now the team is really focused on making sure that we scale without chain halts, making sure that the migration is safe and secure from a state migration perspective. We will have what you're asking for, just not after not in parallel to what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I
That
think
should also
with the weight equation, it's more than enough. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and that should also, I think, help drive some of the initiatives that we were talking about with increasing uh, our validator stakes. Because if people are increasing stake to account for greater throughput, then they'll also be getting into the validator pool at a certain level. So that sounds like it has a number of potential upsides to it. Leroy asked, will new tokenomics start upon the beginning of Shannon upgrade, and will inflation cease at that point, give or take? Yes, the new economics guidance will be implemented at the end of the cutover to the Shannon upgrade. One of the things that is in the checklist is implementation of the network parameters based on the economics guidance. Anoski asked, is there any step-by-step guide for nodes migration? In process, should be ready hopefully fairly shortly. But there will definitely be enough time between the publishing of the guidance and the actual Judgment Day date to account for that. Tim said one node with 600K pocket versus 10 nodes with 60K pocket. Those are the kinds of considerations that will be part of long-term strategy looking forward for node runners. I expect that we will continue to see greater efficiencies in how node farms are configured. And I would also expect some reasonable adjustment around the marketplace in node runner services as well. When we look at the fact that gateways and applications are taking on the burn side from the demand side and adjusting their strategies within the marketplace with price increases and that sort of thing, I would reasonably expect that staking guidance and stake distribution and also rev share percentages will need to be adjusted around those economics. So that's something that I would expect to be all coming in short order. Ramiro said, note that the more will only come if you're exhausting your throughput. Adding more than 60K won't give you more tokens. It's not the same as more. Right. Yep, exactly. It's not stake weighting. Evo said, why is validator rewards increase not adjusted as part of the Shannon economics from day one? Because the distribution of ratio in rewards is a separate issue that needs to be worked out. There is extensive math around what is an optimized ratio of validator participation, and that also needs to include the ability for node runners to account for validator participation on a greater level, which is currently difficult for node runners given that validator rewards are not part of the rev share. So there is certainly discussions in progress and calculations and computations and all that being done to figure out what a better validator incentive distribution would be. But there are simply some functional and mechanical things that have to be created as part of that, and that's not something that can all be done at the same time. When can we expect load testing outcome to be published? Fred Olshansky?
I'll jump in again. I think the question is, and I mean this half satirically, I think everyone is expecting, when can we expect the most amazing public huge number load tests result to be published? The answer is as soon as possible. We have gone through many load tests on alpha and beta testnet, and we found issues, right? We found issues in things like CPU usage, memory usage, disk usage, in the relay miners and the suppliers and the gateways and the chain and the tokenomic settlement. We've uncovered, a lot of projects rush to launch and then all hell breaks loose. We've pretty much seen all hell break loose north of 30 times so that you guys don't have to worry about it. So, we ran a little load test last week. We ran another one earlier this week. But in terms of a 10 billion relay load test with a very heterogeneous set of applications, suppliers, gateways, and others, literally as soon as possible. We're worked on it on Monday. We worked on it yesterday. We're working on it today. So please stay tuned.
Thank you, sir. All chance. Oh, your mac and cheese is done. I see you, Tim. Infracake said, I think we need to make this migration by stages, seeing variables like price, rewards, volumes, and see how they evolve step by step so everyone or every cluster of the community can adjust their part. Yeah, that's essentially what we're talking about with addressing the validator distributions separately and all the rest of that. The goal on Judgment Day is to have more than 90% of the network state migrated to Shannon, to be running on that completely. And at that point, Morse ceases to produce tokens, and if anyone's still running Morse blocks or Morse validators or such, blocks would be empty at that point. The transfer of value will be complete, except for any outstanding one-off wallets and things along that line that haven't been migrated yet. And the mechanisms for migration will stay up for a while, because obviously we assume that some folks may not be, paying attention, or may come along later and realize that, oh shoot, this happened and I didn't know it. I know personally, I had like a couple $100 worth of lend that I didn't realize had changed to Aave for like 2 years, and had to come back and run that conversion myself. So we want to make sure that anyone who is not paying attention along the way still has the opportunity to do that for as long as is reasonably possible. But we expect to have greater than 90% of state migrated on Judgment Day itself. And then, of course, we'll deal with the evolution of the economics and parameters and validator distributions and all the rest of that after the fact, once we know we're fully on. Sorry, I don't want to be cashier at Target next month. You and me both. Are the exchanges notified about the upgrade already? Yes. Did they give a green light for this upgrade? I don't even know what that means. Exchanges don't set the technical policy or strategies for a protocol. Shannon is not just a hard fork, but a migration to a whole new blockchain. I mean, that's a semantic definition there. I'm not sure what that is supposed to mean. Shannon is similar to how Beacon was used in the Ethereum upgrade. The Beacon chain was built and validated and was running, and then the merge occurred, and ETH was updated to proof of stake from previously proof of work. Exchanges can reject the upgrade. No, actually they can't. They can drop the listing, I suppose. But if they don't participate in the upgrade, then they are not going to be on the active pocket, and there's only a single pocket ticker. There's no separate blockchain networks or anything else along that line. So if they choose not to upgrade, then they're maintaining a system that no longer works, which would be silly. Tim's going to be the bagger, and Infracake's going to rev share tips. So cool. Pocket is not Ethereum. That is my point. Pocket is a low-income, high-maintenance project for exchanges, high risk of delisting. Okay, your opinion is noted.
I got a question regarding I know this is more on the migration side of things, but
Mhm.
is there a plan or day for migrating the Shannon, the Morse state on Shannon, so we can like start like testing with the addresses and stuff?
Oh, you're talking about on testnet, right?
Yeah, of course, the migration of the state in testnet, exactly.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'll take another step. Right now, it's rather than fixating on specific dates and times like April 20th and 10:59 a.m., etc., for Judgment Day, we will have exactly this, where the entire community and exchanges and Path, and you guys, all of us together, are gonna sit at our computers at the exact same minute, the exact same second, and look at it. From our perspective, it's one step at a time. So the moment we update our full node docs, we're like, community, it's ready. If you want to know what's in progress, it's all 100% public. So that's context. To answer your question concretely, by the end of this week, we're aiming to merge 100% of all the features needed for migration. But then we're going to try and test it to make sure to break the things and fix them before you waste your time hitting issues. But theoretically, you can actually go and try to do things right now, right? It's just going to be really, really hard without the copy pasta instructions that you probably want. So we know exactly how easy you want this to be and how you want the docs to look, and how you want it to be very step by step and bullet points with copy paste instructions. But theoretically, you can go and do it now. And the longer you wait, the less brain power it'll take. So now it's possible. By end of week is when we're going to start breaking things. Next week we'll have some copy paste instructions on Monday and even better instructions next Friday. So every single day it's iterating.
Yeah, but I just want to know the state migration in testnet from Morse. Like if you have a hard date for it, because um, we wanna know, like where to put all the things or the tooling, because we're talking about a lot of nodes, a lot of configuration that needs to be, written, and we want to take advantage of that in testnet. Um, but we cannot do anything if the state is not there unless we start like migrating it by ourselves, which maybe it doesn't fit the way that you guys are going to do it. So if there's a date, can we just say like, okay, next week we can expect the state of mainnet channel in test. Sorry, the state of mainnet Morse in channel testnet for next week. Is that a inline that we can wait for?
I will follow up with you afterwards in the public Discord channels. How about that?
Yeah, that would be good, because if that's not there, we cannot test the side message that you guys are like creating. So that would be very good to know.
Beautiful. And Tim asks, have you all reached out to exchanges that haven't listed Pocket yet? Might as well send out the generic email about the upgrade and maybe they'll decide to list. That hasn't been my experience in how the exchanges engage, but we are working with the exchanges who are there to make sure that they are covered. Infracake said, is there any plan B just in case things not evolve the way you want, any rollback?
I'll take this. The reason that the migration is a runway and will take some amount of time is because we want to be sure. And to answer the question more directly, no, we don't have any plans to roll back. We are going to roll forward only. And this is why we're being so thorough and so methodical about the migration process. Code completeness, code testing, load testing. There is some documentation that I'll paste here on the exact steps that we are going through, and this is also all available on dev.pocketroll.com and on GitHub. So if you're interested, you can follow along and see the level of thoroughness and academic pursuit that's going on.
And Evo followed on with essentially a variation of the same question. Is there a contingency plan in case of an unsuccessful migration? Unsuccessful migration is not really a consideration given that all of this is being tested in advance, and the whole reason that Shannon Shadow launched ahead of the cutover was to make sure that block production and all the rest of that is working as expected. So we're talking about a governance transaction to import state, followed by a series of transactions that are being executed to attach and convert wallet or account addresses from one to the other, along with state. So that's it's just not really not really a consideration. Leroy said, "Will the Shannon launch party be delayed due to current economic uncertainties?" Uh, yeah, yeah. Date TBD. How's that? Target bagger cashier situation. Oh yeah. Y'all are gonna have to rev share the tips. So good luck on that. Will the interview with Charlie Sheen be up anytime soon? I assume you mean Charlie Shrem. And yeah, I think his lead time is normally around 3 weeks. So I would expect that that is coming soon. He normally pings me when they publish them, so I will certainly make sure that link gets shared out. I'm sure y'all have seen that I have been on an absolute media blitz of podcast appearances and such talking about Shannon. Will the Dow Treasury keep sending out 20 million pocket monthly to fund the current foundation activities? Probably less than that, given that every month we manage to shave down the um, foundation budget a little more. So, watch the pro forma. Just FYI, if you need a personal chef, just DM. If that's the side gig in for cakes, maybe we can all pool up some cash and have you do the catering for the launch party. Evo said, "What are the current tasks and duties of Michael?" Essentially, he's been doing some public facing stuff, as you've seen from some of the podcast appearances and that sort of thing, and providing directorial oversight to the operations. He was also there for demo day and was pleased with the progress of the PGAT teams. Zatar asked, is there a summary anywhere of the PGA projects that presented at Demo Day? The entire presentation is up on YouTube, and the marketing team is chopping out individual profiles of each of the presentations and the teams and what the projects are. So we should see some additional supporting material coming out soon. But that is the entire Demo Day presentation is currently on the YouTube channel. Demo is long to watch. Yeah, understood. We are getting additional content created from a text-based perspective and breaking that out into individual demos. So each of the demos themselves will be presented with their clip along with some supporting text. Evo asked, what plans does Grove have with Path? Is Grove planning another fundraiser in the future? Art, do you
Evo,
want to
I
take that?
answer this question every week. You were here last week for it. I will say it again because
Yeah.
you're clearly a bad actor here, and I'm just calling you out. The question here is, what is our plan for Path? Path is going to be the thing that we focus on fully moving forward. So, going to take a step back, as I always do with these. Right now, with Shannon going live and the tokenomics being implemented where mint equals burn, we have the opportunity to incentivize people to try to use Path rather than go through Grove. Why? Because until this month, or for the last 8-9 months, we've been charging $2 for a million requests. With the $2.50 burn that's being introduced, we have to raise our prices. So we are raising our prices to $5 per million. All net new customers as of Friday or as of Monday will see this on the website, and when they upgrade, all existing customers will be migrated over on the May 1st billing cycle, and we build on June for that. We are about to send a messaging later out today. It's literally what I'm doing in a couple hours. I'm just drafting it right now. That informs all of our customers of the pricing changes happening and why, but also gives them the opportunity to go to Shannon directly or go to Pocket directly, right? At some point, we're going to get to a point where we're not calling Pocket Shannon, Shannon Pocket. I'm just going to say Pocket. Go to Pocket directly rather than go through Grove. So our kind of North Star, given enough time, is going to be the number of gateways that are using Path, and then the number of relays going up in aggregate across all new gateways using Path, going up and to the right. I said this last week, and I said this the week before. Hence, I know you were on both these calls, so I know I've already answered this. So I'm answering it again for the sake of this video or whatever. The point I'm trying to make sense is our goal is going to be to white glove onboard as many Path customers as we can. Fred and I have been on calls all week, the last 2 weeks now, with all of our biggest providers and many of the RPC gateways that surface traffic through us or a portion of their traffic through us. And they've all agreed that the $5 pricing is fine. So the $2.50 per million burn is okay. And on top of that, a couple of them have expressed interest in using Path as well. We are starting with Liquify as always to onboard them next week, and then ChainStack will be a fast follow. We are also simultaneously onboarding ourselves. So we are going through, the docs over and over again, spinning this up, making sure it's nice and easy. The goal is to get this whole thing up and running between 30 minutes into an hour for any net new user with limited interaction with a human. But we know for the first few parties, it's going to take some time. So yeah, I hope that answers that question in depth.
Thank you, Art. Why not get each PGA project to write a paragraph or two, Zatar says. To be perfectly honest, there are some difficulties with some of the teams on that. So we are taking the lead on getting the text structured and then, of course, getting any clarifications or anything outlined. Folks like DevDAO who are here on the call, that's certainly easy, but there are some barriers with some of the folks when it comes to creating media ready descriptions. So we are working with those teams, but it's not really as simple as just asking them for paragraphs. Anaski said, in Morse, nodes with more pocket than validator threshold are validators. Could a node be a supplier and a validator in Shannon? Yes, I'm not aware of any change in that structure, and that's part of what we've been talking about with building up the validator portion as well. The expectation is that validators still have the opportunity to be staked as servicers, and if there's anything that's not right about that, I'm not aware of it. Leroy said, to follow up on last week's call, has there been positive feedback from reaching out to current clients leading into the Shannon launch? Yeah, that's Art mentioned that several times. That those conversations have been had, and that all the gateways have been talked to, and everyone understands, and thinks that the rates being discussed are reasonable, and will adjust their strategy around it accordingly.
We are, to add more color to this, because I think it is important. We are billing this as we are changing our rates because, one, the protocol now has a fee built in, which adds sustainability to the protocol and allows for the service to continue going. And two, we are introducing Path, which has these, we've teased what the metrics look like in Twitter and LinkedIn and Medium, wherever, multiple times. And so we have shared some of those metrics, and folks are excited. And on top of that, we are adding support for WebSockets as well, which many of these clients have been waiting for. So all of them understand that there's a justifiable price increase, and all of them appreciate that it's still less than what it used to be, and they're going to be getting better services. And at least a couple clients had mentioned that they themselves have had to increase their own prices in the last few months. So this timing is great for them. Now, the question you all didn't ask is this going to increase relays? I'll assume so, yes. Even though the price is going up, I assume the relays will go up from Grove. But at the same time, my hope is that relays will go up from other actors faster than they will go up from us, because our goal is to enable others and not to funnel everything through ourselves. Otherwise, we are just acting as another centralized provider.
Yep, 100%. Anaski said, I'm asking because now we have two actors. Yeah, I mean, servicers and validators were also two actors in Morse, but validators were capable of being servicers while not being required to be so. So that's, I don't think that there's any change structurally in how that works. Sure thing. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I think is good context about what Art is talking about is that being the developers of Path means that Grove has significant expertise with implementing Path. And a lot of folks are, who have ideas about custom transformations and other things that they want done as part of accessing the protocol, would be inclined to, reach out to Grove for their expertise along the way. So Path itself can become a, service and premium feature line of revenue for Grove. And that's certainly something that helps expand them out above and beyond being an RPC provider. Getting near the top of the hour, but I do see Evo typing in chat still. Typing, typing. Hopefully that gets up here. My question was deleted somehow. I asked if Grove or any other gateways in talks with any major players that are looking for decentralized infrastructure to open data beyond RPC. I don't know if Grove is. They can maybe answer that. It's often difficult to talk about things that are in the pipeline before they are signed. I will say that I have in my pipeline 2 companies already that are both doing decentralized LLM stuff. One of them a specific drag and drop agent type builder service, and the other a multi LLM data aggregator, and they're both interested in what Shannon can do for them, and have been looking through the documents and playing with testnet and all the rest of that. So there are definitely companies that are out there who are engaging with it, but I don't think that we're going to be able to say much more about that until something is actually signed or put together from an agreement perspective, or until they're staked directly on the network and running path, at which point in time we'd be happy to talk about it. Art, anything else to add to that?
I can throw something out there. I had some really early talks with a fellow alumni of mine from my alma mater. And part of the Doge effort removed many like government accessible databases of like academic data, and one of those was taken down, and he had been hosting his own version of it, or the most up-to-date version that he could have, and was looking for well, this is costing me, how do I other people are using it and I want to provide the service, but it's also costing me, so like how do I continue to provide this quote unquote for free or at cost? And we discussed the opportunity, and he was very interested. So I think that there is more opportunities there. Obviously that's very targeted, and the types of data that you have to host are subject to regulation, but there's some interesting thoughts already out there, and we'll continue to have those discussions and encourage people to use the network and have their own gateways.
That's awesome, because that's exactly one of the use cases that I've been talking about, is sharing out research data, clinical research data, and other types of published or peer-reviewed research. I think there's a great opportunity there to have Pocket become a de facto data service provider for a lot of types of research data that are currently behind the walled gardens of subscription journals and such. And with relay mining and data owner percentages, there's a way for providers of that data to be compensated for contributing. So I am super excited to hear that, because it's exactly my thesis. All right, y'all. Well, all right, one last question slipped in. Is Tor support coming to Pocket soon? This is one of those little side things that we've been playing with. Yeah, Art, I saw you come off mute. You want to talk about it? No, maybe not. Okay. Yes, I will lightly say yes, tentatively, that Tor is an example of a supported distributed data service, which Shannon can support. Signal proxy relays are another. There are a number of privacy type services which can be enabled with Shannon, and some of those are being actively played with. So we'll just sort of broadly say yes there, with more info to come. Oh shoot. Yeah, you've already got it up on the website. Okay. There you go. So we don't have to hint at it as much. Yes, Signal and Tor both coming soon, and that's really fundamentally just the beginning. There are so many types of privacy networks in particular, and distributed data sources, and all the rest of that, which are in the pipeline for support with Shannon. So we are excited about that. Thanks, Eva. Great final question. And with that, we are at the top of the hour. So I appreciate once again everyone coming along here and continuing to support us and work with us through what has been a tumultuous time in the global marketplace. But we are very excited with this next step. We are like right on the edge of turning that corner and having all of this functionality live. And this is something that I think everyone should be amped about. If you're still here, this is what you've been waiting for. So we'll talk to y'all again next week.